Hello, welcome to the Sutlifian Report. Today we are going to discuss are truces a major sin in Islam, and we're going to use Sharia and the Quran and the great Islamic scholars to respond to that. What happens? We have to ask this question before we start. What happens if Sharia is found to be lying to Muslims? Does that mean that a Muslim can trust Sharia? Well, if Sharia is lying to them and it's Allah's law, is it not deceiving them? Can they trust their Allah, who's supposed to be the chief of all deceivers, when he's supposed to be deceiving them? We'll get into this. Let's start. And here we go. So, and we're going to go here. All right. So again, are truces a major sin in Islam? According to 09.16 out of Reliance of the Traveler, again, where it says parenthesis O, that's telling you this whole section, 09.16, are notes. All right. So they're not actual law, but again, it's quoted. I will fix that. It says P over here, but I'll fix that later. As for what relates, I'm reading from the right side, and you tell me where it's different. As for what relates to that truce, the author did not mention it. In Islamic law, it is a reconciliation between people at war to stop fighting for a specific period in exchange for compensation or otherwise. The basis for it is the exalted statement, disavowal from Allah and my messenger. That is chapter 9, verse 1. And his statement, and if they incline to peace, then incline to it. Now you see this 9:1. Here it says an acquittal from Allah and his messenger. So we're going to have to ask the question, is this even accurate or close? All right, we'll be looking at these verses later. If they incline towards peace, then incline towards it also, 861. We need to look at and see if they're being honest with us when they're talking about Sharia. Again, this whole section, 09.16, is a note. So if it's a note and it's not in Sharia, is this just written for the non-Muslim? Again, start asking questions. All right, here we go. We're just going to read from the right side again. And his truce with all the Quraysh in the year of the Habadiyah are as narrated by the two sheikhs. It is permissible but not obligatory. Talking about wait a minute. The truce. It's permissible but not obligatory. If it's permissible, it's not a sin. Doesn't that make sense? All right. In the Sharia, it's saying it's not a sin. Right over here, you can see on the right. Guys seeing this? On the right. It's not obligatory, but it's permissible. So it can't be a sin. All right. Yet it's listed as a sin in the book of major sins in Reliance of the Traveler. This should be confusing to people. Let's keep going. It's concluded for some of the infidels of a region by their governor, even if he is a governor or an imam, even if he is his deputy, and for all other infidels and the infidels of a religion like India and Rome by an imam, even if he is his deputy, because it is one of the grave matters as it involves abandoning jihad completely or in a specific direction, because it does not have a role in looking after our interests. Now, this is Islam saying this. So if you're abandoning jihad completely, you're not looking into the interest of Islam. Are you catching this? So it's appropriate to delegate to the imam completely or to whomever the imam delegates the interest of the region. So if somebody's making a truce, then these decisions now default to somebody else. That's also of importance. A truce must have a benefit. The absence of a benefit is not sufficient. So you can't have a truce where Muslims don't get a benefit. Allah the Exalted said, "So do not weaken and call for peace while you are superior." This is Al-Bukhari and Muslim in chapter 47, verse 35. Here we go. Keep going here. We're reading again from the right. It is not permissible to pay more than that accepted in separate contracts, and it is stipulated in each contract that it does not exceed 10. You're talking about 10 years. All right, you cannot have a treaty under Islam that's longer than 10 years. Doesn't matter who made it. As soon as the 10 years hits, Muslims must break their treaty. That is Islamic law. Again, they're saying it's a ruling known from the contract of jizya, which is that when it is a valid contract, we are obligated to refrain from them until its cities are completed. Whose cities? And you notice over here, you have all of this. It's all fluff because it's not in Arabic. That's another point that we need to be paying attention to when you read Reliance of the Traveler. And keep going here. Now, I went and spent some time looking into this. And one of the documents I found on islamonline.net is by Dr. Muhammad Saeed Ramadan. And this is his book about he read. Now I came down here. It says, okay, it is permissible to make a truce between Muslims and their enemies at war for a known period. That has to be less than 10 years, whether it's compensation that they take from them without compensation. So think about the truce between Hamas and Israel. What benefit are the Muslims getting? They're not getting killed. There is a reason why Muslims are allowed to make a truce that gives them benefit. It gives them a chance to become strong enough to attack back. That's the benefit they are seeking currently with Hamas. They don't want to lose their rule. Okay, this is actually what's going on. Okay, it's like that. Okay, as without compensation, because the truce of Hudna was like that. And as for with compensation is by analogy to the first, because it is permissible without compensation, then it is closer and more appropriate for it to be permissible with compensation. Again, we go down here. If the reconciliation is based on money paid by the Muslims, it's not permissible according to the majority of Muslims because it involves humiliation for them. So again, if there's a humiliation factor, Muslims are obligated under Sharia, is what we're hearing for here, that they cannot keep the treaty. Well, if you look at the treaty between Hamas and Israel, one of the requirements is to turn over their weapons. This would constitute humiliation. Therefore, that treaty cannot last, is what this says. And I personally believe that part of this treaty is to reveal that Muslims can't even make a civilized agreement as a truce. And this is what it's saying here. It's not me saying it. This is what Dr. Muhammad Saeed Ramadan is saying. All right, and he continued down here. He's saying 6. Al-Shafi and Ahmed held that peace should only be for a known period. Again, that's that period of 10 years. All right, and he's just backing that up. That's what we've already seen. Okay. Now let's look at that 4735. It says, so do not be weak and do not call for peace when you have the upper hand. And Allah is with you and he will reward you for your works. So Muslims cannot ask for peace or allow peace when they have the upper hand. They must complete jihad, which is basically take over. Continue the war until they've taken over. This is their rules. This is their requirement. Let's look at 861. It says, and if they lean toward peace, which we would call a truce, so lean toward it and depend on Allah, sure he is the hearing, the knowing. Al-Tabari says this. Now, this is one of their Islamic scholars that they rely on and trust. And he interprets this verse to mean, and if they incline toward making peace with you and ceasing hostilities, either by embracing Islam or by paying the jizya, or by making a truce or other such means of achieving peace and reconciliation. Look at we're talking about conquest here. They stopped fighting because they lost. That's not a real truce. Qatada said, this is again from October, regarding the verse, and when they incline towards peace, that it means peace. Okay, so they incline towards Islam is what they're saying. Then they can have peace. Now this verse, 861, according to Al-Tabari, this is the Islamic scholars, one of the most knowledgeable ones and the most respected ones. He says this verse was abrogated by the verse then killing the polytheists wherever you find them. So they're citing a verse that is abrogated to say they can make truces. Let's see if this continues in this vein. So wait a minute. Again, if they're making getting a benefit out of a truce, like becoming stronger, which is what Hamas is seeking, they don't want to turn over their weapons. They can't do that according to Islamic law. So again, if we went back just a little farther, we would see they're permissible, but not obligated. They're permissible to get you stronger to continue jihad. But again, this verse was abrogated. You don't make truces. You continue the jihad is what this is saying. 861 again. Al-Tabari says, every peace treaty that Muslims make with polytheists, which they consider Christians and Jews as well, by which they make peace, is abrogated by the revelation of the Qur'an chapter 9. Okay, that's what this is. So he ordered they be fought in all circumstances until they say there's no God but Allah. On the authority of Al-Hasan al-Basri, again from Al-Tabari, he said, and if they incline towards peace, then incline towards it. It was abrogated by the verse in chapter 9, his saying, fight those who do not believe in Allah or in the last day until his saying, while they are humbled. 929. So, truces, so this whole thing, incline towards peace, if they incline towards peace, again, they have to complete the jihad. Surah 9 abrogated everything that's considered peaceful. That's what this is saying by the Islamic scholar. All right. 861. We're still continuing with Al-Tabari. On the authority of Ibn Ishaq, and if they incline towards peace, then incline towards it, meaning if they call you to peace, to Islam, then make peace with them on that basis. Wait a minute. They're calling them to peace. Pay attention here. Ibn Wahb said, Ibn Zayd said regarding the verse, and if they incline towards peace, then incline towards it. Make peace with them, he said. This has been abrogated by jihad. Anybody surprised? So truces, this whole concept, the Quran, according to the Islamic scholars, is backing the continuance of jihad over making truces. But again, according to Sharia, it can't be a major sin if it's an allowed thing, but it's not obligated. So this can't be a major sin. All right. Let's look at what chapter 9, verses 1 to 4 says. Allah and his messenger are innocent from the polytheists with whom you have a covenant. So travel in the land 4 months. These are the months where they don't commit war, all right? Acts of jihad. So travel in the land 4 months and know that you will not hinder Allah and that Allah will shame the infidels. And the announcement from Allah and his messenger to the people on the bigger pilgrimage day, that Allah and his messenger are innocent from the polytheists. They're innocent. Oh, why? See, they're allowed to go kill these polytheists. Allah and his messenger are innocent. The Muslims are innocent. Why? Because they're allowed to kill the polytheists according to chapter 9. It says, so if you repent, so it will be better for you. But if you turn away, so know that you will not hinder Allah and give the good news to those who became infidels with a painful torment, except for the polytheists with whom you made a covenant. Then they did not fail anything of you, nor aided any one against you. So fulfill to them your covenant through their time. Surely Allah loves the fearer. Now let's take a look at verses 5 and 6. So when the forbidden months have passed, these are the months they're not supposed to be committing acts of jihad. So kill the polytheists wherever you find them, and take them as captives, and besiege them, and lay wait for them with every kind of ambush. So if they repent and perform the prayer and bring the legal alms, so leave their way free. So if they conquer you, you're done for. You got to pay the price. You start paying the jizya. That's what they're talking about. This is the jizya is paid, so you'll be allowed to live another year. That's your fee every year. It says, surely Allah is forgiving and merciful. And now this is going to get interesting. And if any one of the polytheists asks you for a shelter, watch this. Some Muslims will use this verse. So give to him a shelter until he hears the words of Allah, the word of Allah. Then let him reach his place of safety. This is because they are people who do not know. So you got people who don't know what Islam means. They don't know anything about Islam. That Islam allows you to make a treaty and then turn around and break it because Allah is the great deceiver. Oh, they don't know this. So you can put them in a place of shelter away from yourself. Let's make sure we can continue this. All right. Al-Dobri said this on this part. You're going to see what I'm talking about. And if any of the polytheists whom I commanded you to fight and kill after the sacred months have passed, seek your protection, O Muhammad, so that he may hear the word of Allah from you, which is the Qur'an that Allah revealed to him. Then grant him protection. He says, so give him security so that he may hear the word of Allah. You may recite it to him. Then escort him to the place of safety. This means then return him after. And just a second, we had Darcy join us. Thank you, Darcy. This means to a place where he is safe from you and those who obey you until he returns to his home and his people among the polytheists. That is because they are people who do not know. All right, we're getting closer. Here we go. So according to Islamic scholars, then, truces are allowed in Islam only so Muslims can grow stronger to return to their Quranic purpose, which is jihad against non-Muslims. So you think about this. Okay, truces are allowed. You can put up a white flag, but the person, a Muslim who's putting up a white flag, will also be carrying a knife to stab the person they're making a truce with in the back. This is exactly what the Islamic scholars are saying. It's what the Quran is saying. It's what the hadiths are saying. I'm not making this up. This is scary stuff. So this is what I think, Rad, for joining us, Rad. We're almost done. All right, get back here. So this is the stamp of the end on hypocrisy. A major, it's just this is the truces are a major sin. They're not it's not a major sin of Islam. I was supposed to change that word. I'll fix that later. Think about this. This whole thing about truces is being a major sin of Islam is a fake. It's totally a fake. I know you two missed out, but any comments? I don't know if you caught out any of this before.
Who says it's a fake? Who said truces are a fake? Or no, I'm sorry. Who said truces are a sin in Islam?
Well, that's the point. Sharia is saying it's listed in their book of major sins, but it says they're allowed, but they're not obligatory. Well, again, which makes it a fake as being a major sin.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Well, no, because truces, according to Islam, are only done, and the standard is the truce of Hubadiah or whatever it's called, where Muhammad did a 10-year truce and it broke it up for 2 years. So when they do a 10-year truce, they break it up for 2 years.
So this gets really, I think this gets humorous. I'll come back here in a minute. I got to change this. Just a second to get me back where I wanted to go so I can show you where we are. Just a second. It just is amazing that they would list it as a major sin. And I'll come back here just okay. Okay, that's what I need to do. All right. All right, so we'll come over here. Let's see. All right. So this is what I was showing before. And I'm saying under Islam, they're allowed to carry the white flag and stab the person they're making the truce with in the back. They're allowed to break treaties. All right. And this is the humor in it being listed as a major sin. All right. This is humorous. Okay. Take a look at this stuff. It is just wrong to say this is a major sin. All right. This is just insane. And I mean, I just think we need to pay attention. The verses they are citing tell them to continue the jihad. All right. This is scary stuff. So start thinking about this. If they're a major sin, they shouldn't be permissible. So we need to pay attention. All right. And I'm going to end up closing this pretty soon. The reason I want to do these as shorter sessions is because I don't think people are paying attention when we go longer. So I'm just going to, they don't want to stay for the hour. I can get that. So here's the, if you're interested in supporting the work I'm doing, this is one of the ways. You can go to paulsutliff.com, purchase a book. These are the last ones. The newest one here is Proverbs, a book of wisdom for boys. This is the way to support the ministry I'm doing. Please do that. It helps me to do more stuff and it gives me the motivation to do a little bit more for everybody. God bless everybody. Thank you.